Hello, my name is Sean Miksch, and today I will be telling you about New Coke. It was released on April 23rd, 1985. It was a new formula that was supposed to taste better than the original formula because at the time Coca Cola's market share was decreasing and Pepsi's shares were increasing. It was made because executives thought that Americans thought that Pepsi tastes better than Coke. This stemmed from Pepsi's at the time advertising campaign, the Pepsi Challenge, which compared Coke and Pepsi. And most of the time, consumers thought that the Pepsi tasted better than the Coke. And so this is why they devised a new, better tasting Coke formula. During testing, it was shown that the new Coke flavor was preferred to the original Coke by 55% to 45%. That stat comes from the consumer response to product withdrawal. And it was supposed to have a little sweeter taste and a smoother mouthfeel. Points of failure. Their misjudgment of consumers' attachment to the original Coke. Also, they had a strong fear of Pepsi's market growth, really pushing them to push New Coke forward. And they completely ignored their brand loyalty while launching New Coke. Coca Cola had an attachment by consumers. A lot of Coke loyalists are mostly from the South, and they're completely opposed to the change. Throughout Coca-Cola's operational history, they had been headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, and because of this, many Southerners grew up with Coke becoming a part of their culture. In fact, a lot of Southerners call all sodas Coke. That's how deeply rooted it is in their culture. So they were extremely angry when the original Coke was taken away. Coke's leadership thought because they have all this brand loyalty that they could do any change and Southerners would accept any change from Coke. However, they did not, and Coke loyalists, in fact, quickly sponsored protest rallies and boycotts. And according to the report, as mentioned before, only 30% of consumers interviewed preferred the new Coke. So, the fear of Pepsi's market growth. So, they had a fear that Americans started to prefer Pepsi over Coke. And so they started asking a question during testing. However, it was the wrong question. They just asked people, what flavor do you like better? They should have asked, how would you feel if we discarded Coca Cola's current taste and replaced it with a taste? So, what they got wrong while asking during testing is that they never made it aware that they'd be taking away the Coke people loved so much. And so people just went like, "Oh yeah, this new flavor it tastes better, so I like it more." But their answer might have been different if they were made aware that the Coke that they grew up with would be completely taken away and is not an option between the two. And so the data that they got did not properly examine the reaction of consumers to if they released new Coke into the market. And also because once it was released, the original Coke was taken away, people actually wanted the original Coke more than ever. So on July 10th, 1985, Coca Cola actually folded under the pressure and re released the old Coke formula as Coke Classic. By 1986, Coke Classic outsold New Coke 8-1. And then by 1990, New Coke's position had dropped by 6%. So Coke's marketing team tried to rebrand it as Coke 2, which did not work if because no one's heard about Coke 2. And so it was phased out during 2002. However, even though it was such a huge failure, Coca Cola's position in the overall market in the soft beverage industry actually increased because, how I stated before, people did want the original Coke more than ever, though it was partially due to the release of Diet Coke and Cherry Coke. So, concluding points. Companies need to do more testing on consumer psychological reactions to their new products, right? Especially when asking questions during testing, they need to make the questions a lot more relevant. When they're forming these questions, they need to take in the visibility of their product, take that into account, the importance of the product into account, and how hard this decision is. And they can use these traits to estimate how much awareness the consumers need to know about the product so they can get their proper research on how the market will react. Because Coca-Cola did this wrong is one of the main reasons New Coke flopped. Any questions?